Welcome to the Mindset Coach podcast, brought to you by the Mindset Coach Academy. I'm Lara Young, your host and Master Certified Coach. Whether you're a seasoned coach or just starting your coaching career, this podcast is your go-to resource for all things mindset, coaching, and personal development. Each week, we bring you expert insights, practical strategies, and inspirational stories to help you become the best coach you can be. Our guests range from leading industry professionals to successful mindset coaches who share their secrets for creating lasting change. Plus, I'll be answering your burning questions and sharing tips from our ICF and multi-accredited Mindset Coach certification program. So, if you're ready to elevate your coaching game, stay tuned and let's dive into today's episode. If you've ever wondered why some clients seem to make breakthrough after breakthrough while others struggle to maintain their progress, this episode is for you. You know, I had a client recently, let's call her Sarah, who came to me frustrated because she tried everything. She'd been doing vision boards, she'd been saying affirmations and doing some positive thinking exercises, all the usual suspects when people think about mindset. And while these tools will give her a temporary boost, the changes just weren't sticking. Does it sound familiar? That's because there's a huge difference between temporary motivation and genuine neural rewiring. One of the driving factors that led me to establish the Mindset Coach Academy over 8 years ago was that I was seeing a lot of coaches out there who were marketing themselves as mindset coaches. The thing was, they were all offering positive thinking and vision boards as the way to change mindset. And yes, they're useful tools, but they don't actually address the complexity of what mindset is, nor do they provide enough rigor to make real lasting change. So let's get into the science a little bit. When we talk about sustainable mindset shifts, we're actually talking about creating new neural pathways in the brain. The old saying, neurons that fire together wire together, isn't just clever. It's literally how our brains work. Research from the Laboratory of Neuroimaging shows that every time we have a thought, we're either strengthening an existing neural pathway or we're creating a new one. And here's what this means for us as coaches. We need to move beyond the just think positive approach and focus on creating consistent, repeated experiences that reinforce new patterns of thinking. Let me share now 3 evidence-based strategies that I've seen create remarkable results with clients. Number 1 is the 20-second rule. Research by Harvard psychologist Shawn Achor shows that by making a desired behaviour 20 seconds easier to start, or an undesired behaviour 20 seconds harder to begin, we can dramatically change our probability of success. Here's an example. I had a client who really wanted to start journaling every morning, and instead of just setting the intention, we created a complete journaling station next to her bed with her journal open to a fresh page each night, the pen ready on the page. When we make things easy, then we make things more implementable. And that worked for her because the minute she woke up in the morning, she saw the journal there. She didn't have to do anything. She didn't have to get out of bed and find her journal or look for a pen. It was right there, ready to go. And so when we can reduce that friction in that habit creation with our clients, they're much more likely to actually take the action they need to take. And that's a win. The second is implementation intentions. These are specific if-then plans that research from the NYU shows can double or triple the likelihood of achieving a goal. Instead of saying, I'll be more confident, we help clients create specific triggers. For example, when I enter the meeting room, I will stand tall and make eye contact with 3 people. The specificity creates clear neural pathways for the brain to follow. It's clear instructions. Now, third is the STEER method. This refers to the situation, the thought, the emotion, the action, and the result. This is a framework that I've developed based on cognitive behavioral therapy research, and it's something that I share with my students in the Mindset Coach certification program. Now, by helping clients to track and identify these 5 elements, they begin to see the patterns in their thinking and their behavior, and more importantly, they learn where they can interrupt negative cycles and insert new responses. And that pattern interruption is really key for changing behavior and changing emotional response, and ultimately for changing results. I'd love to give you some examples of how this works in action. So let's look at a business coaching example. The situation is that the client has to give a major presentation to the board. The thought is, I always mess up important presentations. They'll see I'm not executive material. The emotion that follows that thought is anxiety and self-doubt and maybe a little bit of dread. The action that the client then takes is that they rush the preparation, they speak quickly during delivery, and they avoid eye contact. And the result is that the presentation feels disjointed, it doesn't convey confidence, and reinforces that negative self-belief. So what can we do here with our client to get an alternative response? There are a few things. First of all, pattern identification. So we have the client journal about their past presentations and experiences. We can ask them questions about that as well. We have them identify any physical symptoms of anxiety that they experience, for example, a racing heart or shallow breathing. And then we can map out when negative self-talk typically begins. For example, it may be 2 or 3 days before the presentation. Then what we can do is we can do some reframing work. So we create an evidence list of past successes. We have the client think back to situations where they have done a presentation or spoke in public that was really successful. It may be, for example, they were best man at their brother's wedding. Then what we want to do is to develop a board member persona exercise. And this is where we actually help the client to view those board members as allies and not threats. It's the perception of the board members as a threat rather than an opportunity or a friend that does make a difference to how we are emotionally when we approach the situation. And then what we can also do is we can practice leadership language. And this is where we help our client to really shift from self-doubt to executive presence. We get them to step into that role. Now, there are also some practical tools that we can use to help our client in this situation. Things like implementing the 5-5-5 preparation method. So this would be 5 key points that the client wants to cover, 5 supporting facts, and 5 anticipated questions. This means that they're well and truly ready to deliver a wonderful presentation. We can also do video practice sessions with feedback and also create a pre-presentation power ritual. We have the power pose, for example, from NLP. We have breathing exercises, and we also have success visualizations, visualizing the successful outcome, the successful completion of the client's speech. Really does reduce anxiety because we cannot feel anxious about something that has already been successfully completed. And we can take techniques from timeline therapy here as well. So let's look at how that situation will have been transformed. So the situation is, it's the same board presentation. The thought would be, this is an opportunity to showcase our team's achievements and vision. The emotion would be focused excitement and purposeful energy. The action, thorough preparation, practice delivery, and engaged eye contact, and a really confident posture. The result is a clear, impactful presentation that demonstrates leadership capability. Now, let's take another example, and this time we'll look at health coaching. So the situation is that the client faces a decision about evening snacking after a stressful day. They've had a really bad day at work, really stressful day at work. They've come home and the treat cupboard is calling to them. The thought may be, I deserve a treat. I can't cope with stress without comfort food, or I deserve a glass of wine. I can't cope without a glass of wine. Now, the emotion is that they're feeling overwhelmed, they're seeking comfort, and they may even start to feel a little bit guilty for even thinking about going to that treat cupboard or reaching for that bottle of wine. The action is that they binge eat while watching TV, and they actually lose track of the portions that they're consuming. Has that ever happened to you? You've had one of those days and one glass of wine leads to another, or one bag of Doritos leads to another. The result is that the client feels physically uncomfortable, they may feel some shame, and they may also experience disrupted sleep. So what can we do? Well, we could use some interventions like stress response mapping. So keep a detailed stress eating diary just to really help the client to understand what are the triggers, what has to happen in order for them to want to stress eat or reach for the bottle of wine. They can rate their hunger versus their emotion on a 1 to 10 scale before eating. And this is something that you could create for your clients. It could be part of a tracker. How am I feeling? Is this emotional response? What is the emotion? Where is it and how high am I feeling it? How intense is it? And then also to tune into their hunger, because oftentimes people are feeding emotions and not hunger, and we need to have that correlation between consuming food, consuming calories, and actually being hungry to satisfy that need rather than to satisfy the emotion need. We also want to help them to document the time of day patterns. So oftentimes people will overeat or want to reach for a glass of wine at certain times of the day. And typically it tends to be more towards the evening, or for example, if they go out for a few drinks on a Friday night, then it tends to be that they'll want to reach for junk food, maybe want to go and have a kebab. And then what we also want to do then is we want to create alternative response building. So this is where we can actually work with our client to create a stress response menu. And what we would include here is non-food options. So there would be things that they could do that would not be related to food, which would help them with their stress levels. For example, it might be going for a walk in nature or having a nice bath or reading a book, for example. We can also help them to practice 2-minute mindfulness techniques, and that can really just be doing that body scan and tuning in. Am I hungry? What emotion am I feeling? And then also developing an evening routine that supports good choices. Remember, a lot of habits are installed and they are on automatic pilot. They reside in the unconscious mind, and we actually just do them without even thinking about them. Before you know it, you have inhaled that bag of Doritos, or you have drunk that half a bottle of wine. So we really want to help them to develop a routine that does support those good choices. And this is where, because a lot of our habits all of our habits actually reside in the unconscious mind, this is where hypnotherapy is a really useful technique. And it's also why we include hypnotherapy in our Mindset Coach certification program. Hey there, coaches. I just wanted to take a moment to remind you about our Mindset Coach certification program. This is not just any certification. It's an ICF and multi-accredited program designed to provide you with the skills, knowledge, and confidence you need to transform lives. If you're serious about elevating your coaching practice and making a lasting impact, visit our website at mindsetcoachacademy.com to learn more. It's your opportunity to join a community of passionate and dedicated coaches. The next one is looking at the environmental setup. So, for example, we could help our client to reorganize their kitchen for success. They have healthy snacks at eye level. They don't buy those other things. They don't have them in the house. And we can talk about threshold. We do a lot of work on this in the program itself. Then they can create a dedicated relaxation space and set up evening activities away from the kitchen after a certain time. So what happens then to their steer statement? Well, the situation is the same. It's a stressful evening. The thought transforms into, I can handle stress in ways that support my well-being. The emotion is self-awareness and feeling empowered. The action is maybe a 10-minute relaxation practice, and then preparing a healthy snack if they're truly hungry, and also maintaining that portion awareness. And the result is that the client feels in control, they feel proud of their choices, and they also get a better quality of sleep. The next example is parenting coaching. So here's a common one for those parents out there. So let me know if you've had this experience. The situation is that your child has a meltdown in public. The thought is, everyone's judging me. I'm a terrible parent who can't control their kid. The emotion is embarrassment, frustration, panic. The action is gets angry, threatens punishment, tries to force compliance. And the result is it escalates the child's distress, it damages the parental-child connection, and increases your parental guilt. That sound familiar to anyone? Well, here are some things that we may do with our client. First of all, we will look at trigger awareness. So record the patterns of the meltdowns, the time, the place, and preceding events. So what is happening? Oftentimes children will melt down because they are tired or they are hungry or it's been a long day. Their little legs are not as long as ours and they can get tired very, very easily. We also can identify our own or the parent's physical stress signals. So what happens physically for you when you are experiencing that stress escalation? And also start to notice the child's escalation signs as well. Have the parent start to really pay attention to notice what's the trigger, but also to notice when that frustration is escalating in the child. We can also then do some response training. So remember, this is from the parenting coaching niche. So if you're a parenting coach, these are the sort of things that you may do, and you'll be very adept at doing them, I'm sure. Role play difficult scenarios. You can also practice the pause and plan technique. So taking that beat to pause and then plan the next step. And also learn quick regulation exercises for both the parent and the child. It's really important that we regulate our own emotions and we're in that state before we can help our child to regulate their own. And then connection building. A lot of times, if you watch Super Nanny, you'll hear about timeouts or the naughty step. Connection building is really the opposite. It's about developing time in. So a time in toolkit for public spaces where we actually build connection with our children or the client builds connection with their child. Create family calm down signals. So create a family language for calming down, and then establish post-meltdown reconnection rituals so that you know and your child knows what to expect as well, and then they become much more secure and feel much more safe when they do have those big emotions and those meltdowns. So how is that then transformed? Well, the situation, it's the same public meltdown. The thought is my child's struggling and needs my help to regulate. The emotion is calm, compassionate, and focused. The action is moves to a quieter space, uses connection before correction, and maintains gentle boundaries. And the result is that the child learns emotional regulation, strengthens the parent-child bond, and builds parental confidence. Now, these are just 3 examples from 3 different niches, and you can see already how mindset coaching and mindset coaching tools and techniques work across all niches. Mindset coaching is the foundation of all coaching, and it's really important that you do have this toolkit to be able to help your clients in the best way that you can to create lasting change. Now, let's look at some of the things that you can do across all 3 of the scenarios and across the scenarios that you and your clients may be facing. So really important that we explore some of those mindset foundations. So we would clarify the values of our client. We'd do an identity belief assessment and maybe a future self visualization as well. We would do some progress tracking, so weekly wins journal, a challenge response log, success evidence collection. This can sometimes be called a success log or an achievement log. Maybe do some check-in with an accountability partner as well. The personal maintenance protocol. We would develop energy management strategies, create personal boundaries, and build a support system activation plan. Neural rewiring support. Perhaps you use a daily affirmation practice that is tied to specific situations and include visualizations for desired outcomes. We really hone in on the actual desired outcome with our client and enhance the full sensory experience of that to help our client to really move forward and rewire their brain for the achievement of that goal. We can also use physical anchoring techniques. So we use specific gestures that are paired with new thoughts, and we bring up new emotions and resourceful emotions that are useful in that situation. Then we also want to integrate, so it may be that we have a 30-day implementation plan, we do a weekly review and adjust process, and we also celebrate and we acknowledge our clients' achievements. Now, these are just some examples of the sort of things. Obviously, within the Mindset Coach certification, we learn a whole host of techniques from NLP, from neuroscience, positive psychology, hypnotherapy, and timeline therapy. And you will have your own experience as well in coaching or outside of coaching, and you'll be bringing that into your coaching practice as well. There's something else that is crucial that many coaches miss, and that is that the brain doesn't distinguish between real and imagined experiences as much as we might think. A study from the Cleveland Clinic found that people who simply imagined exercising a muscle increased their strength by 13.5% without actually moving. And this is why guided visualization, when done properly, can be so powerful. Now, this is one of the things that we really love to do, because when we actually put a goal in the future for our clients, this is exactly what this is. It's a guided rehearsal. It's a guided visualization of that goal achievement. And it's actually rehearsing the achievement of that outcome that increases things like motivation, that increases the chances of that goal becoming a reality. And we have a range of scripts that we have at the Mindset Coach Academy that really help us to guide our clients in visualizations that are a full sensory experience of the goal achievement. So they become so compelling and the client is compelled to actually achieve them. But here's the key. Visualization has to be consistent, specific, and emotionally engaging. And just like building a muscle, building new neural pathways requires regular workouts. So let's talk a little bit more about practical application. Here's how you can use what I've been talking about with your clients. Number one is to start helping them to understand their current neural pathways. What automatic thoughts and behaviors are already well established? This awareness is crucial for change. Number two, create specific, measurable new behaviors to replace old patterns. Remember that the brain loves specificity. Number three, use the 20-second rule to make these new behaviors as easy as possible to initiate. Number four, implement daily mental rehearsal sessions, but make them detailed and emotion-rich. And number five, track progress using the STEER method to help clients see their patterns as well as their improvements. I remember working with a CEO who was struggling with imposter syndrome. And instead of just telling her, oh, look, just feel more confident, be more confident, we created specific scenarios she could mentally rehearse, complete with physical sensations, emotional responses, and detailed outcomes. We made her new behaviours incredibly specific and easy to initiate. And within 3 months, her team reported a complete transformation in her leadership presence. So here's your takeaway. Real mindset change isn't about positive thinking. It's about deliberate neural reconstruction. It requires consistency, specificity, and an understanding of how the brain actually creates new patterns. For this week's coaching challenge, I want you to take one client through the STEER method, help them to track their patterns for just one specific situation they want to change, and the insights that you'll both gain will be invaluable. Remember, we're not just coaches, we're detectives. We help our clients to create those neural changes. And when we understand the science behind transformation, we can create more powerful, lasting results for our clients. If you'd like to learn more about how to use mindset coaching tools and techniques with your clients, please do visit our website, mindsetcoachacademy.com. We offer a range of ICF and multi-accredited mindset coach certification programs from foundation level right through to coaching mastery. So that's all for today's episode. If you found this valuable, please do share it with a fellow coach who might benefit. And remember to subscribe for more evidence-based strategies to enhance your coaching practice. Bye for now. That wraps up today's episode of the Mindset Coach podcast. I hope you found it as inspiring and informative as I did. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow coaches. Your support helps us reach more people and continue to bring top-notch content every week. Remember, you can always learn more about our ICF and multi-accredited Mindset Coach certification program, our coaching membership and other training opportunities by visiting mindsetcoachacademy.com. Thank you for tuning in and keep striving to become the best coach you can be. Until next time, this is Lara Young signing off. Stay motivated and keep transforming lives.